This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Ever wondered how you could turn your side hustle into a full-time gig and spend more time together?
Hi, I'm Vikki, a #1 best-selling author.
And I'm John, a retired Los Angeles police officer. Welcome to Dig the Well, where we help couples navigate the world of business.
We've been married for 35 years, and because we built a successful side business, John retired 9 years earlier than he originally planned from the Los Angeles Police Department after 25 years on the job. Now we spend more time together, and we want to help couples like you do the same.
Join us as we help you overcome common obstacles, and we show you how to make extra income without sacrificing family time.
Ready to dig deep and build your well? Let's get started. Welcome back to Dig the Well. We're excited to be with you. And
Yes, we are.
yeah, guess why? Guess why?
Something I'm supposed to remember.
Yeah. Something happened this week.
I don't know. So it's our anniversary.
Yeah, we are married 36 years, January 28th.
And it only feels like 38 or 39.
I thought you were going to say like 50.
No, it's not that bad.
So we are excited for that, for one, because not many couples are making it that long. Well, actually, the tides are
Yeah, I think
changing.
so. We know a lot of people who've been married
Yeah.
that longer and longer.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, we were married in 1989. So that's, you could have figured that out on your own, I'm sure. But I've met so many 1989 couples, and give a shout out in the comments if that's one of you that stayed married, like so many. Yeah. So there must have been like something brewing around that time that we wanted to make a change.
Yeah. And your brother and his wife,
They're still
they've
married.
got a year on us.
Yeah, they married in 88.
Yeah.
And I remember, they would say the divorce rate's 51% or something big like that. And I do remember making a cognizant effort that that's not going to be us.
Right.
That this was,
Right.
you're getting married once. So, So we're excited about that. And we get a lot of people asking us about that specific question. How do you guys do it? Number one, how do you stay married as a police couple? That's one of the things. Then just how do you stay married in general as a couple this day and age? And how do you run a business successfully and stay married? It's like a threefold question.
Yeah, especially the business part of it. I don't know if it's good or bad, right?
I know.
Having a business together.
Yeah.
I think it's hard at first, but then I think it gets a lot easier. I think it makes us stronger, or it made us stronger, right?
And I think because we started so young with a business together, where a lot of people, they have corporate jobs and then maybe do a business together later, and you're kind of set in your ways, or can be.
Yeah,
I don't know. So I think, that might be what helped us. So anyone listening that's not married yet, go in business together first, because that was like the kiln. Is that what that's called in pottery? The kiln.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the end's silent or not.
I know. I don't know either. Kill. That sounds bad for marriage.
The thing you cook pottery in.
Yeah.
The oven.
That oven, that fire, that was us. We were in that when we had our first business, for sure.
Oh, we were forged in that fire.
Yeah.
I tell you, if we survived that, we could survive
anything. I know. So we had that business before we got married. So that's we kind of attribute to a lot of our marriage success and actually business, right, is that we had, I don't want to say knock down, drag out fights, but I kind of say that a lot, that we did, that we really had some fights. And
but not physical.
No.
A lot of yelling and screaming.
No. Yeah. And then,
but never physical.
Right. Never. I think both of us would have walked away from a situation like that, but never. But we were both came from verbal families. I know mine was very verbal. And was yours? Yeah. So you stood up for yourself, kind of a thing. So but that made our marriage then stronger. We always talk about, let alone the business. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to ask each other some questions. We put some questions together and even a rapid fire session at the end, because one of our first episodes, if you haven't listened to that, it might have been our first. We did the rapid fire question part, and so many people have commented that they love that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, lots. So, and we're going to ask both of us the same questions on these, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we kind of decided. So do you want to go first?
Sure. The first one you have here is the secret sauce. Communication is key. How you navigate tough conversations.
Yeah. So kind of I think when we were putting that question together, it was like, how do we navigate tough conversations? And that is something we've had to grow on over the years, because I don't think we were great at it at first, just like anything. Yeah, just like anything. But I learned not to hide anything from John, that it's okay to have the tough conversations, that, maybe he's going to be mad at me because I did something stupid, right? But I need to just get over that. And just like in life, you need to own and take responsibility if something happened. I'm thinking of, like, particularly in prestige motoring accessories, when we had a lot of cars and they were worth a lot of money and we were tinning them. We were doing a lot of Mercedes-Benz, a lot of, and I can't remember. I know one of our employees crashed that dually into the side of our shop, but I am sure I did
Crashed
something.
in the corner of my truck.
Oh, it was your truck? I thought it was a dually.
He turned too tight into the parking space and didn't realize how wide dualies are, I guess. Bless you.
Excuse me.
And caught the corner of my truck.
It was
my truck had that big bumper. It was like the same material as the roll bar was. And so it didn't even damage it. I don't even think it scratched the bumper, but it destroyed the the dualies that cover those wheels, especially at that time. I don't know if they're the same. I assume they are. It was some sort of urethane or fiberglass. It wasn't metal. So it just destroyed it. Yeah. Guy's brand new dually.
That was bad. But
that was stressful.
But that wasn't me. That was the employee. But I'm thinking, I know, and I think my brain is making me forget all the things that I did at the shop, like that damaged things that we had to then pay for and repair. But I had to tell John. And did I really want to? No. But communication is key. Getting things out in the open is key. And keeping it secret or lying about it never works. So if you're keeping secrets from your spouse, I don't think it's smart. Yeah. And then the other part about communication that I wanted to bring up that John does very well, and I'm going to say that I've been continuing to work on, is speaking. But the most important part is listening. The 2 ears versus 1 mouth for a reason. Right. And you always, like, look at you now. He's listening so well. But you model that for me still every day.
Really? Well, yeah. I guess maybe I am a firm believer in the listening part is more important than the speaking part.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. And it's something, I don't know, my brain just, a friend of mine told me once, you say everything that's in your head. You just say it all. And she's partly right. I do say a lot, but I'm thinking to myself, you don't know how much is really going. I actually hold back, but anyway, so I know that I do speak a lot, but I think on this podcast, I've done pretty well, haven't I? This whole, since we started, I think I've really worked on the listening, but if this is something, especially women, we struggle with, we're talkers, right? Some women are great at listening. So applause to you. But for those of you that know you're not, be open to your man giving you some tips on that. That's what I want to say, truly. And John still, I think, sometimes doesn't think I'm working on it, but I truly am.
No, I've never felt that.
I get the impression because I can see the frustration in his face.
Well, that's me. I'm not a very patient person a lot of times. And I know that's always been kind of a fault, I guess, if you will, that I've had to really work on. Yeah, because I remember, like, fairly early in my career, a supervisor said, "Hey, I want you to be a field training officer." And at that time, I was like, "There's no way. I have no patience for that." And it's like, you do your job and do it right. And I just didn't have any patience to try and teach someone or be patient and let them work through mistakes. That came later in my career where it was like, I got it, right? That I made mistakes, obviously, and people had to be patient with me. But for some reason, I guess maybe it's just a maturity thing. I just wasn't mature enough just to say, to be more tolerant of that.
Right.
So I think that's still a deal with me.
We all have our things. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe God put us together. That's one thing I always say. I don't know if John says this, but when it came to child rearing, and I could wake up in the middle of the night, and he preferred to stay asleep and sleep in. And right. I was a night owl. I mean, the other way around. Yeah. John would be the night owl, but I'd fall asleep because I was up with the baby early. But I would say, well, that's why God put us together. And
or he just wanted a good laugh.
I know, because I know that's a struggle for couples. Well, you're just talking to our daughter and son-in-law about how she's an early riser, and he stays up late. And so I said, well, that's perfect. That's why God put you together. So
yeah, and it worked out for us, though.
It did. It ended up, but
being on like opposite schedules and whatnot. I think we made it work.
Yes, but you were frustrated that I would always fall asleep. Like we'd put a movie on, and I would,
that happens today still every time.
Right, because you want to watch it with me and talk about it.
Here's what we're doing now. We're watching a series again, and of course we don't watch TV until usually a little bit later at night because we're doing business and income producing activities,
right?
Pretty much throughout the day, right? So I had watched a series and I'd already watched it. And Vic was like, this is actually pretty cool. I want to watch this. And so I said, okay, I'll watch it with you. So now basically what I'm doing is I'm watching it a second time. I've already seen it. I already know how it goes because I just saw it recently.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this thing a second time alone because someone is out.
I fell asleep again.
Within just a few minutes, you're out. Now, Vic, you always say, wake me.
Yeah, I
watch
do.
It. So I wake her up and then she rewinds it back to where she remembered seeing. So now I'm watching it a third time. And then I look over, she's asleep again.
I know. Yeah. I've gotten better over the years, but yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's so funny. But yeah, it's not always easy. And honestly, if we could talk about sex too early in our marriage, that would be, because we should talk about things like that. That would be a thing, because you were wanting to have sex and I would want to I was tired, right? Especially with kids. So that's something to work on with each other and make some,
compromises?
Thank you. Compromises. Yeah. Definitely, ladies, that is something to compromise on because it's really important. But anyway, back to we all have things to work on. I think that, that's huge. That's cool that you recognize the patience. I recognize the listening and many other things. But, always be willing to work on yourself. I think, what else I think helped us? We had another business where they really encouraged personal development. And that was, we were like 6 years married. That was it when we started that business. And they were encouraging us to read these books. And we would read them. And it was mind blowing. It was all about fixing yourself because you can't fix the other person, right? You can't change them. And so that helped our marriage so much. So always be willing.
And that's a great point, because if you're just trying to figure it out yourself, it's going to take you so long to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think it could do damage to your relationship. And I think there's probably people that their relationships have failed. And if they had probably read a few self-help books, some personal development, that they may, they still may be together today because they could have worked on that earlier rather than.
Right. And, honestly, reach out to us. I just had a thought. If you want some good marriage books, that I could definitely recommend some really great ones. So in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, put it in there. You could always email us in the show notes. It has our email address on whatever platform you're listening on. But we have such a great book list.
And then basically I guess you're just learning from experts when you read these things and you read these books, and you're also learning from other people's experiences and some of their past mistakes.
Yeah.
And I know with guys, a lot of times they think of that as a sign of weakness if they're asking for help or if they're reading a book or publication that's supposed to help them, and it's a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's actually a sign of strength.
Yeah. I hope that changes. for men. It really
Mhm.
should. It is a sign of strength, I think.
But I used to see it like that, like a
Yeah.
weakness.
Right.
I'm not going to
Exactly.
ask you, like, I don't ask for directions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think a lot of men think of book reading. And it's the biggest gift you could give yourself, let alone all the people that love you,
Yeah, for sure.
is to develop yourself. Yeah. Next, handling disagreements without chaos. That's a tough one for married couples, don't you think?
Yeah.
For a lot. And that's why a lot wind up in divorce, because there's just utter chaos when they disagree. And then they hold grudges, which we don't do. That's something that I think is great that we've learned.
And I think part of it too is we don't keep it inside. Like if we have a disagreement, we'll just talk about it.
Right.
And if it even, let's say it ends up being in an argument where we're not happy with each other, but we're still going to get it all out, because I think if you try and hold some of it back and hold some of it in, that's when you have these grudges, right?
Right. Yeah. It's really
You
true.
can't get over it.
Right. And it festers like a splinter then, right. That you leave in. Yeah, that's so true. And I was going to say that I think, you're always told, don't go to bed angry. I think that is an absolute myth
Right.
that we've learned over the years. Sometimes it's not good to drag the fight out, to keep fighting and you're getting nowhere. I actually read a book recently that said, and I'm thinking, we figured this out on our own, but even the book backed us up that, it is okay to go to sleep still a little upset, especially if your disagreement's not getting anywhere and it's getting worse verbally, right? I say go to sleep, you wake up, you have a way clearer mind after that, and then talk about it the next day if you need to, and apologize.
It's funny that a lot of times all the anger is gone.
Yeah.
By the next day. In fact, there's been times when I knew we were arguing, I wake up and I can't figure out what we're arguing about.
Yeah.
And then it takes me a minute, or actually more than a minute. It takes me several minutes to think about it. Like, what the heck were we arguing? Then I'll remember, oh, that's right. And then I'll think to myself at that point, that's just really stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. It'll
that
be
isn't
the
even important.
dumbest thing. Arguments usually do boil down to like the stupidest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupidest, is that a word? Yeah. So good. So definitely. Yeah. I'm so glad we're better at that.
And no low blows. That's what you have on this paper.
Oh, yeah.
No low blows, right? Because that's just hurtful.
That's one thing.
Yeah,
and I don't
constructive at all.
I don't think I do low blows. Maybe there's been a time or two John took it as a low blow. I really don't ever intend to. And I know John doesn't, and he's really good at not criticizing me ever for my appearance, ladies and men listening. This is a big tip that they should learn from you. And I haven't really said this to you publicly. He has never, when I've gained weight during a pregnancy or not being pregnant and gaining weight later, and then working on getting it off, never once has he ever said anything about my appearance. And that's a huge thank you. Because a lot of men, that's a really bad trait that you have. So if you're currently doing that, stop. Because there's plenty of things your wife could say about you, I'm sure, right? And it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So
yeah, that's never.
You never have.
Yeah.
All right. On to prioritizing the marriage while raising kids. So I think we've always done that. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Something interesting, and I know you and I have never felt this way, and it's not that our kids aren't important to us, but there are so many people that say that their children are their entire lives. Like, I do everything for my daughter. I do everything for my son. I do everything for my kids. Never mentioning their wife or their husband, their spouse, right? I always thought that was kind of weird in like the hierarchy of things.
Right.
That you would put the kids at the very top, which is odd to me. And I know we've never done that, right?
Yeah. It's always God first. This is what we believe. God, then each other, then the kids, and then all your friends and family, right? That's at least mine.
Like that. But then, but for sure.
Yeah. It's so true.
I've never even thought of it like the kids.
Yeah. And if anyone knows us, they know we are all about our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's saying something, because we never missed a practice. Like it's, John just talked about that. Misa's talked about that. They've both been on our podcast. We fly all over the world to watch John compete in weightlifting. We're there for Misa's everything that she does. So we put our kids first. So that's saying a lot, but we also put ourselves first. The marriage, right? Because the marriage has to be strong to raise great kids. Definitely. And then you know what? There is a great book I do want to mention. The 5 Love Languages. We, a part of our personal development journey, somehow we came across that book years ago, and it's still popular now. Like I talk to people, millennials now, and they're like, what that shower? We went to a co-ed baby shower, and somebody was saying, what's your love language? It was a man saying, what's your love language? And I was like shocked. And then they were like, I think I'm gifts. And then another man at the table, he was like, I actually think I'm, words of affirmation. So a lot of people know about this book if you haven't read it, The 5 Love Languages. I can't remember the author. I apologize for that. But we took and there's a quiz you can take on it. So as a family, as our kids were growing up, not only did we take it for ourselves, but we kind of wanted to know, that was interesting. And then we wanted to know what our kids were so we could talk in their love language. That's such a great book. Because if John is gifts, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. If John is gifts, I know I'm words of affirmation as well as some other stuff, and so I need him or want him to be showering me with affirmations. It is how I feel loved and supported. Where if I'm showering him, oh, you look good, honey. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, that blue shirt. It's not getting anywhere. Like that's not his love language. His love language, one of them is gifts. And I should know this. The acts of service, maybe.
Yeah, probably something.
Anyway, that gets to them, right? So communication and prioritizing your marriage, while raising kids, you need to know those types of things too. So is there any other tip on that you would suggest? Date nights, making sure to do date nights. Do you think the husband should plan the date nights or the wife?
I think that all depends.
Yeah,
right?
I was wondering what you were going to say. Yeah. You don't mind if I do.
No, I really don't. Yeah. It doesn't make it doesn't make a big difference to me. But some people it does.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Do you feel threatened if I do? Or because some men do feel threatened that they want to plan the date because they feel like the guy. No, I didn't think so either. Maybe not all the time. Yeah. But picking restaurants, you love it when you're like, well, you pick, just pick. I think that's like everybody's like argument. So everyone's trying to please each other.
I'm less picky about food. So that's why I want you to pick, because I don't want you to be unhappy.
And I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, no. But anyway, see,
we're going to fight about this later.
Disagree on that one. Okay. So running a business, we get this a lot. How do you run your business successfully without burning out on the marriage? But how I kind of equate that is without killing each other. We posted that once, that's what this podcast was going to be about, how to run the business without killing the spouse. And we were joking, but sometimes you really are frustrated. Yeah. So, how do we do it? Do you want to answer first? I was just going to say, we've learned to walk away when something gets heated or we've been together too much. We don't even discuss it anymore. We both just kind of, John goes and has a cigar outside. I feel like I go shopping or call a girlfriend. I think we've figured out that we each need space in some way.
Yeah.
That's one of many things. What do you think?
Well, I think in the question here is how do you separate business, personal, and working together while respecting each other's zones? I think that has a lot to do with it right there, that last part. Tips for working together while respecting each other's zones. I think we early on identified different aspects of the business that each would be doing, right? Because we can't do everything. We can't do everything, each of us, right? Because then you have all this duplication of effort, which would be it's not efficient.
Right.
So we would have our own tasks that we did. And I think by separating that and having like, I'm in charge of this, you're in charge of that, and I don't meddle with what you're doing. I don't micromanage it. I don't second guess it. It's just, you're the expert on that and you're going to do it. And I'm good to go with that. I think when we did that, when we identified those areas, I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, that's true. And then only if we needed, like, I need you to proofread something or vice versa, that's when you ask the other person, that's fine. Yeah, it's very true. Like with Neora, for example, I'm the face of Neora, but like John does a ton of the 3-way calls for our team, right? And some trainings for the team. So yeah, it's true. We kind of differentiated who gets what.
And even if it wasn't for to benefit our relationship, right? It just makes sense, no matter what business you're in, if you have a business partner, that you identify different areas that you're going to work in, and not duplicate what the other's doing.
And like we talked about this morning about someone being a micromanager. We're always relating business to things. It's so funny. And what were we maybe we shouldn't talk about it. We're talking about somebody being a micromanager anyway, but that can happen, right? You can feel micromanaged by your partner if they're trying to horn in on what you already have taken care of. Like, look, you asked me to handle this. Why are you stepping in? Yeah. So true.
Like I said, when we did that, it was like, you were the expert at what you're doing, and I accept that, and I wouldn't even question it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, that's so true. And kind of goes with parenting too. Just real quick, that if one of the kids asked mommy something, could I go over here to Joey's house? And mommy said no. They were not allowed to go ask daddy, hey, daddy, could I go over to Joey's? Because if they did, John would know to say, what did mom say? And vice versa. Did you already ask your dad? Well, what did he say? Right. So we're always on the same page together too. So kind of reminds me of that a little bit. So, okay. So parenting as a team while raising successful kids or while raising your kids, that's kind of what we just talked about, isn't it? Maybe I was like reading 2 questions into one.
Another part of that, though, that we haven't talked about is having a united front.
Yes.
Right. That's really important. And then there were times Vikki would make a decision on something that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I didn't disagree with Vikki in front of the kids.
Right.
So I always had her back, and I know she always had mine.
Yeah.
And later, when it was just the two of us, we would talk it through and talk about, I saw it a little differently.
Yeah, I remember so many. Should we really have been that hard on whichever, me or John? Could we bend a little? No. And then if the other felt, no, I feel strongly about this. No, we need to stand our ground. No, we're not allowing it. And then whoever would say, okay.
We would usually find some common ground.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the original point that we talked about with communication.
Yeah.
Right? If we didn't communicate, just the two of us, we wouldn't find that common ground, and it would just be an issue over and over and over again. But then once we found common ground, it was simple.
Right. Yeah. And could we go into that? Because we chatted just a little bit about choosing your partner. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
It's what I feel strongly about. I know John agrees with me. I don't know if he feels as strongly as I do, but it's when you're picking a partner, I just feel political beliefs and spiritual beliefs need to be aligned. We've just seen too many marriages crumble over political, one believes one way, one believes another, or spiritually. And I feel so strongly when you're picking a partner that it's going to be a tough row to hoe if you don't believe the same. And disciplining children issues. It's kind of like 3 things that I think. What do you think about that?
There's probably more than 3 things.
Yeah, there's probably quite a bit, but those are the 3 biggies for me.
Yeah, I think we've always agreed. I know I've always thought that differences in relationships are a good thing, right? You don't want a carbon copy of yourself. That would be boring.
Yeah.
So I like that Vikki's different, and she has a different opinion on many things than I do, because it helps me grow, right? Because then I'm exposed to something that I didn't even think of, that I wouldn't have even thought of it that way from her perspective. And when she shares it with me, it's like, wow, okay, now I see it differently. So that helps me grow.
Right.
Having said that, like Vic mentioned, there are certain topics that you do have to be on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, there are actually a lot.
And and if you do plan to have kids, to me, that's a biggie too. On if you're a super strong disciplinarian and your spouse is really not, and is actually kind of repelled by strong disciplinarian style, I don't think it's going to work, because one's going to undermine the other. I'm sorry. I mean, unless they're willing to change.
You got to find common ground.
Yeah.
And on all those issues, right? On all
Right.
those important issues that you just mentioned, and there's more.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really do have to talk it through and figure it out and find some common ground where you guys can both exist.
Because you're just going to battle. Oh my gosh. You're just going to battle each other. And then I've seen it go to divorce, and they're still battling each other, and they drag the kids, into it all. It's just, yeah. So I think when you're picking your spouse, choose wisely. Like, don't jump into a relationship or the marriage, till you're absolutely sure. And don't think you're going to change them. That's the other thing. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. And one of the books I read early on, there was something that was annoying me about John, just like I'm sure there's tons of things that annoy. I know there are. I annoy John. But I remember saying to myself, guess what, Vikki? You knew this when you married him. You knew that's who he was. You're not going to be able to change him. If he wants to change, that's a different story. But I'm not going to change him. So when we would have battles, I would have conversations with myself about the fact, well, Vic, you knew it when you married him. So, and I know, again, I'm, you've, I'm sure, thought that yourself, like, oh, I did know that when I married her. But I think it's more a woman thing. I think guys you're pretty easy to get along with us, right? I think women typically want to change the man for some reason. Either they want to or they think they can. Yeah. So ladies, it's just a big tip that you can't change him. He's going to have to change himself. So you could have those discussions, before you get married. But yeah.
Or it's probably it might be more effective that if you need to figure out what you need to change about yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can tolerate maybe what you don't like about
him. Yeah. Or her.
Could be.
Yeah.
So it's always him.
Sorry, because it was him to me, but it was her. And I do have to say, if you haven't gotten, ladies, if you feel like you're struggling in this area, recently I got a coach, and you might think, why do you need a marriage coach? After, and I think we were 35 years married then, maybe 34. I personally wanted to fine tune me. I wasn't trying to find, because I know I can't change John, but I wanted to fine tune me. And guess what I found out, ladies? There are a lot of things, and it's actually biblical. There are a lot of things that we can change in ourselves, and then the husband changes. So, because, sorry, I hope this doesn't sound bad, but men are pretty simple creatures. Wouldn't you agree? Kind of like feed you, show you some love and attention, respect you and your decisions, and you're happy. And I think women, we are complicated. And I think a man would agree with that too. We are so complicated. So if you knew that there are a few things that you did that was really irritating your spouse, that causes the spouse to lash out or do things you don't want them to do, why not change yourself? Right? And see if it works for you. So anyway, I did that. And I've seen dramatic changes in our marriage because it was stuff I was doing. So I'm just talking to the ladies on this. And, some of you very woman power ladies listening might think, well, why shouldn't the husband also do that? Well, yes, the husband should look at themselves too, but we can only change ourselves. So I'm just saying, it worked for me. And I have a really great marriage coach that I could recommend that was amazing. And I think, have you noticed like a change? I don't know if you could say that. And I'm putting you on the spot. The last year and a half, when it comes to like, especially travel, I feel like we've always been good travel partners, but there were things I was doing that were, I think, irritating you. And maybe that's a whole nother episode.
It's really irritating when we get on a plane and she's asleep for almost the entire flight.
Is that irritating?
Yep.
Why?
It irritates me when anyone's asleep because if I'm not asleep and I can't fall asleep, no one's sleeping.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like a little baby, right? I get on the plane, and when it taxis, as soon as it pushes back from the gate, and then like a lot of these airports, there's a lot of taxiing, right? It's like we're almost driving to the destination, it seems like. But when it's taxiing, I fall asleep.
Oh, that's but you do.
Gentle, like
you do, and then I'm awake, and then you wake up, and then he gets his drink, and I'm out, and I'm mad because I didn't get my drink because I fell asleep.
That's what you get upset about because you're sleeping through the whole thing.
It's my own fault. Yeah, I know. That's funny. That is funny. Okay, so you know what? We might jump to the humor one. Because this seems like a perfect segue. That it's funny. Okay, this is a funny story. My parents had a lot of friends that were married for 40, 50 years, and we associated with them. My parents had lots of parties. They had this group called Saints and Sinners. It started as a newcomers club to the city of West Covina, where we moved in the 70s. And anyway, then nobody wanted to leave the newcomers club, even though they weren't newcomers anymore. They changed it to Saints and Sinners just to have some fun with the title. So anyway, we knew all these couples, and which was really good. We probably had some really good modeling going on there on what good marriages are. But I remember telling one of the ladies that it was kind of a crotchety old lady. Well, I liked her well enough, but she was crotchety. We loved the husband. You know who I'm talking about. And I won't say names because their kids could be listening. But I think they're both passed away now, which is so sad. And even though I loved her, I remember we were like maybe 10 years married, and we were at an event, and I felt like I'd figured it all out. I'd figured out how to stay married because we'd been married 10 years, and I was having a conversation with her, and I said, I know what the key to a long marriage is, and that is humor. You got to just roll with the punches. You got to laugh. Your husband should make you laugh. You should make your husband laugh. And she was so crotchety. She was like, well, there's way more to marriage than that. Humor's not going to pay the bills. Humor, this and that. And I was like, whoa, oh my God.
Well, actually, it does pay the bills. But look at Jerry Seinfeld. Right?
So, yeah, that was a long story, but
Jay Leno.
Amazing to me. And yet the husband was so sweet and happy. Who knows? Maybe she was going through a bad thing that day, or they had a fight prior to coming. But I was shocked.
She was a very serious person.
She was. But what I have to say is at that time, at 10 years in, I remember we were struggling with something because marriage is always you're learning, growing, all that stuff. And I remember that I think I was getting too serious in the marriage. And I remembered how much fun, what I loved. I was trying to think of all the things I loved about John when I first married him and hang on to that. And all the things that might have been frustrating, maybe those will wash away. And you made me laugh, and life just got lighter. And instead of me being grouchy or mad, maybe didn't take the trash out or something, we made light of it. And actually, that's one thing that coach brought to light again. I've never forgotten about it, but she brought up humor, and that we should laugh even when we're fighting. If it's maybe a continuation fight, right? We all have those where there you go again, you're doing whatever, right? You can learn to laugh about it. If you're the one that's, maybe something's been pointed out to you and you've acknowledged, okay, yeah, I need to work on that. And it's coming out again, it happens again. And maybe the spouse points it out. We need to laugh about it. The more you can just, oh yeah, that's right, I did that again. Sorry. And why not say sorry is another thing too. I think not enough sorries are said, but humor's key. And I know you probably have a lot to say about that because you're the funny one.
I think you said it.
I know it went forever, but you are funny.
Yeah, but if you think about it too, like we've been in arguments where something funny has happened, and you can't be mad at that point.
Yeah.
It's like the madness is gone.
Yeah. I was trying to think of something that's happened recently. Can you think of anything where we laughed it off and I was so proud of us? Like I was super proud where I think it's probably me because John is a good joker. Like we were just with your mom and you made her laugh, and he and his mom, she's 90 years old, by the way, going to be 91 April 15th. But she, I just loved your banter. They were like teasing each other and laughing. And But so I think I tend to get my feelings hurt or what have you instead of joining in and laughing. But especially lately on things that I know that I do, like how about how many times I kick a furniture and I stub my toe and I'm oh or whatever. At least I can laugh about it, right? But then there's other things where we're actually in a disagreement and maybe a cabinet door is left open or something, right? I'm trying to laugh about it or make a joke instead of getting defensive is what I'm trying to spit out. Because I think a lot of times agreements just keep going, get worse and worse, and you start fighting because everybody wants to hold their ground instead of maybe laugh about it. Oh yeah, I did that again. Sorry. I know I'm working on it. Doesn't seem like it. Yeah. So humor's big. And good and funny movies too. If you're not movie people, we're like big funny movie people.
Oh, yeah.
So it's time to put on a good funny movie and laugh it out too.
Yeah.
I think we have so many favorites. We were just talking about Mike Myers. We wish he would make some more. Like what happened to him? And who else is some of our favorites?
And that whole conversation about Mike Myers the other night was brought up because John was saying John and I had a quote that we have all these movie quotes, and if you all know us, it's John, Misa, and myself. The three of us do a lot of movie quotes. Vic, you don't really do a whole bunch of them, huh?
I know. I think I don't. And
Really,
they love to quiz me on, because the three of them know all the quotes. So now it's become a game. Like ask mom if she knows what movie it's from. So you guys constantly, and I can get mad about it, but I just laugh about it because sometimes I get them.
Yeah.
But the thing was, okay, if I could say something, I had a thought about this and now I have a platform. I can say, you guys, I would usually be in the kitchen cooking dinner or lunch when they're watching The Grinch for the 25th time or something. So of course they are really getting it. I don't know I don't know if anyone else, other moms out there. I didn't get to listen to all the movies as many times as they did because Dad was out there watching them.
And if you were out there with us, you'd be sleeping.
Yeah, that's true too. So in my defense, I probably just wasn't hearing them, but I know a lot of them. I do know a lot of them.
You do.
Yeah, the Shagadelic. Why can I never remember the title? All those.
Well, there's Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
All those, yeah. Those are so much fun. And we do like Jim Carrey. I know some people think he's an overactor and all that. But he can be, but we love him. He's just so talented. Yeah. So anyway, but humor is amazing. Okay, let's jump to, we're going to have the lightning round in just a second. We'll keep that. But let's go to this one, the biggest lesson.
Okay.
Or there's the financial one. I don't know if we want to tackle financial stresses.
No, they're going to be there, right?
I think we should do a whole
pretty much all your life.
Yeah, that is true. And that's when you need to be a team. Like there shouldn't be blaming. If you brought debt into the marriage before you were married, okay, the spouse needs to know, okay, that's my debt and not fight about it and not constantly bring it up. That's one thing I would say that we don't do, but we've seen others do where, well, you brought this into the marriage, right?
I knew someone who got married and his new bride didn't tell him that she had tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Of debt. And then after they got married, he realized it. And it's like, well, what are you going to do now? But you got to just deal with it and get through it. And it is what it is. But
yeah. And that's back to communication. Why did you not tell him? Right. But yeah, so financial is always going to be a stressor, but that's where dig the well comes in. If you're struggling, that's where we were, right? If you're struggling financially, dig the well before you need the water.
Yeah.
Or when you're starting to sense that, oh my gosh, we need the water, we need more income, start another business. Add an additional income stream that we've talked about throughout this podcast. That's why we created this. Yeah. The people that just sit and wallow in their suffering finances, that's not helping you. You got to take action, do something about it. Yeah. So that's
when you get a setback in life, it's not the end of the world, right? Money is just money. You can make money. So I know people that have had a big financial setback, and it ruins their marriage and it ruins everything. It just kind of ruins their life. Now I know other people who have lost everything and they just work harder. They just, and they work as a team, husband and wife, and they stay together, and it makes them stronger, and they just make their money back again.
Yeah. Find a way, right? We almost named the podcast Find a Way. Yeah. That's our motto.
Find a way. Winners find a way.
Yeah.
Fighters find a way.
You'll find a way ethically to make more money.
Right. We're not saying pedal dope on the street.
Yeah, exactly. But there are great business opportunities out there. You're just not being open, if I can be totally frank. You need to be open, and you need to just say yes and decide and take action.
Yeah, right.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Action.
Yeah. And then the biggest lesson we've learned after these 36 years, what do you think it is? Gosh, we've talked about so much today. Because I think that was a lot of our biggest lessons. Mm-hmm. Is there one that stands out the most?
I don't know.
I know. See, we didn't plan this ahead. Well, you know what? Tag on to that is, what do you wish you had known before you got married? So I've got one for that. Do you have one for that?
Well, mine says what you wish you'd known earlier in your marriage, not before.
Well, I'm reading it before I got married, but early. It could go both. I'm ready for mine. Do you know what yours is? Okay, it is, and this is a shameless plug, but I wrote the book Police Wife Survival Guide, and it became a #1 bestseller internationally. And yes, that's an LAPD.
Both.
Yeah, nationwide, U.S. and international. So you can get this on Amazon. It's only $6.99. Oh, throwing it around. It's only $6.99, and it is my nuggets on marriage. And it's not just for police wives; it's for all wives. I've been told by so many people that have bought it for somebody else as a gift, and they're like, "Man, this was for me." And I'm not anywhere in law enforcement or military, so but. What I think women, if I could give women one tip, that is, don't lose your girlfriend's squad, tribe, whatever you want to call it. I made that mistake of thinking, because I put John first. We talked about God, John, the kids, and then friends and family. But there's something to be said that women talk a lot. That's one of the things. And men don't need to hear all our talking, and they get talked out. I'm seeing John nodding his head. And so you need your girlfriends just for that alone, to bounce ideas off of your girlfriends, or just to chat about the silly things that we love to chat about. That husbands, they want the baby, not the
labor pains.
The labor pains. They want, just tell them the bullet points, right? Not the whole dissertation. So if that's my one thing, that don't lose your girlfriend squad. Go out to dinner with them. Don't think you're being selfish and you're taking time away from your husband or the kids. Because guess what? If he's working, he's got his guy squad most likely, and he's doing things and talking to them. So it's helping your marriage. I tell you that, because I remember you telling me, Vic, because John was my everything. He'd come home and I wanted to know all about his day. And I hadn't talked to anybody else but the kids all day. So he was my one human contact. And I think I drove him nuts. And at one point he's like, Vic, you need to get a hobby. And you didn't mean it in a bad way. But you didn't know to say, hey, what about going out with your girlfriends to talk about all this stuff, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's my one big thing that I wish I'd known. And I'm telling all of the ladies, don't lose your girlfriends and keep going out with them. What about you?
I don't know. I've been thinking about that. I was listening to what you were saying. I really wasn't thinking about my answer.
Oh, sorry.
I don't really know.
Yeah. See?
I don't know.
Men are simple. Like, you don't need a lot of things. We need all these different outlets, us ladies. What about your man cave? That's only been lately. Like, you've really had fun with your man cave. And not fun, but you know what I mean? Having your cigars outside, because we don't want smoking in the house. I like cigars, by the way, but.
Yeah, I think that mostly started with Kuma.
Oh, yeah, our dog.
Yeah, so we had an Akita, just this giant bear of a dog, and he loved to be in the front yard. That was his thing. And from the moment he woke up in the morning until late at night, and he would stand at the door to go outside. So I let him out through the garage, and I put him like on a really long lead. I may have even said this before on one of our other podcasts.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
that's okay.
But it was like maybe I don't know, it was probably a good 20-foot lead, made out of paracord, so it wouldn't tangle so much, and it was pretty strong. And I'd hook that up, and he had to run in the driveway, scared everybody away. Like delivery people wouldn't deliver because they actually looked kind of like a wolf, and they thought he was a wolf. And I'm thinking, you can't really have wolves.
Yeah.
But they would either throw the package on the front by kind of toss it to us, or some of them just left it out, not even in the mailbox, but just on the street.
That's funny.
I think they were running away because all of a sudden they see him and they don't see the little thin paracord.
Yeah.
So they don't think he's tied up.
That's funny.
And he just looked mean. But anyways, that was why I would go hang out there. So I put a TV in the garage. And so I would just hang out with him and just do my work. I just bring I have my own little workstation out there.
Yeah.
So I bring my laptop out there, and I get a lot of the stuff I have to do on the computer. I get done out there, have a cigar.
Yeah.
Might have a bourbon or two, or maybe a.
And I have to say, your man cave has helped me because I can watch chick flicks inside the house. Like I'm doing not menial, but computer work sometimes. And I have a chick flick on, and I'm not John in my ear. Like, do we have to watch? Can we change the channel or whatever? So we have our space, in other words. Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. I like that. And then we do come together at night and we, talk and all that stuff. Yeah. After.
Yeah. But that's a good point that you had brought up. And I think that would probably be, if I really thought about that answer to that question without hearing yours, I probably would have come up with the same one.
That's cool.
Because I do think that it's important that you still have your separate time, your away time, and you don't lose touch with your friends and the other people that you knew and had close relationships before you got married. Keep those.
Yes. Definitely.
Keep those, because those people are still important to you, and they should be.
Yeah.
And they're going to be important for your relationship with your spouse because they help keep the ship kind of centered and kind of keep it right.
Yeah.
Keep everything going.
Exactly. All right. Now to the lightning round.
All right.
So, and then we will round it all out. This has been fun. If you want to know how to stay married 36 years, share this with somebody and beyond. One thing we didn't say really quick was there was no back door. When we got married, when we chose to get married, we said, this is it. There's no way out. We had that mindset. I think that's important to state too.
Burn the boats.
Yeah, exactly. We set all the boats on fire. Yep. We only have our one boat. All right. So we're going to try this and ask the question and say it at the same time together. So we're not influencing each other. I thought we were.
No, I don't think we can do that.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to work.
Well, okay. We'll say them near each other. Yeah. Who said I love you first? I think you did. I think I was waiting for you to say it because
it might have been.
Because I think we're taught that the guy should say it
might
first.
have been.
I don't know.
Yeah, because it just seemed right from the very beginning anyhow. So, yeah. Especially when you attacked me on our first date over by the swing set.
I did not.
Whatever.
That's a whole nother thing. John says I attacked him. I did not.
If that security guard was paying attention, we would have been kicked out. Anyways. Okay. What's your spouse's most annoying habit?
Right there. I know.
That was it right there.
Oh, the way I looked at you?
No, you have your mouth open.
Is that annoying? I thought
it's not. Cute. It's not. It's not at all, but you told me to remind you.
I do have an annoying one, and you probably know when I say it. He picks his cuticles.
Oh,
right. And I'm like, I want to put cuticle stuff on him, but I'm sure
that's annoying when you do that. And you don't say anything and you just put something on me.
I usually just hold your hand if we're with people. Yeah. But I have to have an annoying one. Don't say an embarrassing thing, please.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything. It's like
I'm sure I do.
Habitually annoying.
Interjecting. That's annoying to you. Maybe it's worse than annoying.
You've done that a lot less lately, though.
I'm trying.
I think you've worked on that.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite thing that you do that makes
that they do that makes you feel loved?
This is not a lightning round. We're going so slow. What's your favorite thing you do that makes you feel loved? That they do.
So I think it's a little cute little notes and little things. Like she put my name on the top of this page. That was mine. And the little hearts next to it.
Yay. I
Yeah.
was hoping you were going to like that. That's cute. I'm glad you noticed. And then when John, like, it's funny, washes the dishes or does something that I would normally do to make my life easier. So I guess that's acts of service, but that always makes me feel so loved. And it's funny. I just saw a reel on Instagram about that.
Really?
that was foreplay to the wife. Like the husband was putting the dishes. Okay. Who's more likely to apologize first? Oh, we know the answer to this after a fight.
It's always me.
I don't think, John, you really don't say the word sorry. It's like maybe once or twice. I think that's a guy thing. I think guys don't say they're sorry, right?
Really?
I think so. I've talked to other wives about it.
I recall saying it a whole lot.
So,
yeah. Okay.
And apologies do go a long way. So I try to. So yeah. Anyway,
I'll make note of that.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you want to say the next one?
What's one thing they do that always makes you laugh?
What's one thing? You tickle me. That always makes me laugh. I get mad sometimes, but there's probably lots of other things. You always make me laugh. What about me? What do I make you laugh?
When you spill, so
Oh no.
Vic has this thing where she can't finish a drink. Whatever it is, like if it's in a can, in a bottle, in a glass, in a cup, whatever it is, it has just a little bit left in it.
And my reason is I want to have more. I don't want to ever run out.
But it's not enough to like quench a thirst. It's a tiny little sip. It's just enough to make a mess. And then it's always being knocked over.
Yeah, but that makes you laugh.
It does. It's funny to me.
Oh, okay.
Like when you took that nose dive over here when you
I tripped
the
on
other
the
day
microphone stand.
we have this little podcast studio thing set up, right? So there's some cords. I mean, none of this is cordless. Like even our headphones have a cord. And I guess her foot got hooked up on it. And so
it was the other day.
I'm sitting in the living room, right? I'm on the computer doing something, and I hear this boom on the ground, and I just, oh. So I turn around, and I look, and there she is, spread eagle, like face down on the ground, and coffee, a little bit of coffee was in it.
There was a lot of coffee in there.
I guess there was, but it couldn't have been an empty mug, right? So that went everywhere.
It went everywhere.
It was kind of funny, though. That did make me laugh.
John does laugh at people who trip. I think that's like a character trait. You laugh at your mom. You laugh at friends that trip and fall. It's a thing. I don't. I think that's but I don't.
Like that guy, that goofball at UCLA. We were walking through the campus, and I don't know. I think the guy was trying to do some sort of parkour move on. There's some steps next to a building, it's brick building, and there's a handrail. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he went past us, and I think it was Misa and I.
Probably.
And you. I don't think John was.
I don't
think
laugh.
It was the three of us.
I always feel bad.
This guy's body went flying past us, and he just hit the deck and flopped over, and he was just laying there because I think it kind of hurt, knocked the wind out of him. Misa and I burst out laughing. And so did other students that were there that could see this.
I would want to rush to his aid. I'll rush to
if I really thought he was hurt.
Yeah, right.
But he wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
He got up, dusted himself off.
Can't laugh at
away.
people. No, that's where we're totally different. It's funny, but
was funny.
Okay. If they had a free day, how would they spend it? So if we had a free, how would you spend it? I think you would just hang out with Kuma if Kuma was still alive. Hang out with Kuma and smoke a cigar on your free day.
Yeah.
Just relax. How do you think I would?
How would you do it? Well, now that the grandkids are on their way, I think you would spend the whole day with them.
By the time this airs, we should be grandparents for the first time.
It could be happening right
now.
Second.
Yeah, John and Allison are having their baby girl. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's what it'll be, hanging out. Yeah.
Orders coming in right after.
Yeah. It hasn't been announced yet, but hopefully by this, it will be. Still not.
Well, they can cut that out.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Okay. What's their go-to guilty pleasure snack? Ooh, you have a bunch.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends on what I buy. Sean's been having a lot of hummus and chips lately because I bought a bunch of hummus. It
pleasure
doesn't.
snack.
You're right. That's not guilty. Do you like macadamia nut
I would
chocolate?
say like Reese's.
Oh, yeah. That's good. That's for you?
That's for me. Yeah.
That would probably be mine too. I love Reese's.
Yeah. They don't let the package of Reese's doesn't last long in this house.
Yeah. And if it's, I try not to eat John's, but every once in a while I've been known to.
Yeah. Once in a while?
He knows that.
Come on, let's be honest here.
What's the most memorable date you've ever been on together? Oh gosh. What would that be? We've had
It would have to be the oh no, there's a bunch.
There's so many, but you're right. I think that first one. We'll have to we'll have to do an episode on that because it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to Sizzler back in the day because we were broke college students. That was dinner on a blind date with another couple.
We don't want to get into the whole story.
Yeah.
We should do that on
another time. We'll do it. Save that one. Oh, and then it gets better.
Yeah. It gets better than the Sizzler. Try and picture that.
That's right. And then
if you could describe them in one word, what would it be?
Oh.
You would be like loyal, I think.
I am super loyal.
Yeah.
I think you're loyal too, but what's your one word?
So.
Dedicated, which is similar to loyal. No excuses. You're a no excuses. That's more than one word though, kind of person.
I'll hyphenate it.
Don't you think? You're like, find a way, no excuses, get it done, figure it out. That's all you're like. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, that's a compliment. Yeah.
And then lastly,
what's the worst habit when it comes to running the business? And we're going to make this light. What is the worst habit?
I complain about having to get up and do something about it. A lot of things like we got to do the podcast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, not the podcast again, right? Yeah, I should stop doing that because it's not really that. It's not a big chore.
And actually, we're having fun. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then what?
It's like everything has to do with business. I don't know why I react that way a lot of, not with everything, but a lot of things.
I know, and then you're really good at it when you do it, and then it doesn't even seem like you're upset about doing it. It is funny that that is kind of funny. My worst habit, I tend to hyper focus and focus on the business too much. I've been told that even by our kids. So I've been trying to I talked about there is no such thing as true balance because there's ebbs and flows on a previous podcast, but I do need to get better at hyper focusing too much. Like I'll keep going like a dog on a bone. It's a good quality, but sometimes you got to back off a little bit. So,
yeah.
Well, we hope you had a great time with us today. If some of you are married now and you are hitting some rocky points, hopefully something we said, resonated and will help you. If you're happily married and maybe this was just fun for you because you realize, gosh, they're like us. We got this. Good for you. If you're thinking about getting married,
don't. No, I'm kidding.
See the humor. It's there. It's always there. But seriously, we hope some of the advice we gave will help you in choosing your mate and deciding to get married and knowing that it can last.
Yeah.
It can last. All right. Love you all. Thanks for being on. See you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Dig the Well.
We hope you feel empowered and ready to take on new challenges.
Remember, if we can do it, so can you. Keep learning, keep believing, and going after your dreams.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration or maybe a nudge in the right direction.
Help us grow this community of go-getters. Together, we can achieve greatness and get back to family.
Thanks for listening, and let's keep digging the well.